Daniel Howat with Next Best Picture. James, how you doing today?
I'm good, Daniel. I'm real good. You can call me Jim. Do you like Daniel or Dan?
Daniel's perfect for me, Jim.
Okay,
I
good.
appreciate it. Well, what a film. I am
Thank
such
you.
a fan of how you told Bob's story here. I'm so fascinated with the way legends are sort of rewritten over time. Growing up, I really only knew Bob Dylan as an icon, and he is one. But what your film and Wald's book do so well is show how often people were angry or at least frustrated with his career choices from time to time. As an artist yourself, did you relate to the dilemma of making art that's meant for an audience, but not letting the audience define you?
Certainly, it's not just the audience, but the expectations of the business around you, and also I mean, I felt in my own modest way a lot of parallels with some of Bob's feelings about making music and exploring art, which were, as you probably know, I mean, I've made a lot of different kinds of movies, and I really love the freedom to explore different genre. And honestly, I learn things on each one that brings me back to the other with a kind of skill set and a kind of confidence. Um, I mean, it's a really nice place to sit to think I could make almost any kind of movie and that people will let me. That's the other wonderful part of it is that and that somehow started, literally my first film, Heavy, was a small slice of life kind of humanist film set in upstate New York. And my next movie was a kind of much more of a genre piece with Sylvester Stallone and Robert De Niro and Harvey Keitel and Ray Liotta. And from that moment, even just sequencing my first two movies and the change of scale between them, and then after Copland, a return to a more intimate, dramatic level with Girl Interrupted and Angelina Jolie and Winona Ryder and Brittany Murphy and Vanessa Redgrave, I kind of not particularly consciously set in place a path of kind of wandering, zigzagging, if you will, my way through the world. And it may have made it harder for people to understand who I am on one level because it's kind of one of the easy ways that journalists such as yourself can kind of define filmmakers or musicians is kind of saying what bin we'd go in the video store or the record store and and I kind of almost resolutely have avoided any bin and that I really identified with Bob about um and I think he he kind of just moves forward following his instincts and trusts his instincts and trusts his talent to thrive in whatever genre he's playing in. And that kind of confidence, self-confidence um, is inspiring, frankly.
I think that confidence was really captured in the musical performances in the film. These performances are so engrossing that when the crowd started applauding, I kind of lifted my hands. I was about to start applauding. I was like, "Oh wait, no, this is a movie." What was your approach to making these performances so immersive?
I think I just was recognizing the power of the music and the power of Timmy's performance, but also I think, I mean, not that this is a level of kind of film school geekiness, but that you've got to try and avoid when you have songs in movies that the drama stops. Like it's still a play, right? It's no different, frankly, and this is some of the ways the different worlds I've transitioned through teach me. It's no different than making an action movie, meaning you can have these set pieces of action the same way you can have song, but if the set pieces of action contain no character development, if they're just bang, smash, crash, spin out, gunfire, around the corner, more of the same, then the movie just becomes drama and then a lot of noise and fireworks and then drama. And what you want, at least what I want, is that the movie is the movie. And the songs aren't songs. They're part of the text of the movie. They're no different than the dialogue. They are part of they're the elements that make up the dramatic object that is the movie. and they're not different, and you don't think of them differently, but you actually direct the music the same way you direct a scene, wanting to understand the triangulations between the characters as the song's being sung, the anxieties of the hero as he's singing the song, so that it's not like a performance at a variety show or some recreation of an historical concert that you're just watching, but you're actually inside the characters' heads, feeling the risk, the anxiety, the fear, the defiance, whatever it is that might be playing out while they're singing that particular song.
That comes through really well, and especially because you're telling such a compelling story. And I know that you're no stranger to telling true stories in film, and I know there's always a balance you have to find between sticking really closely to the facts and also telling an entertaining story. How did you find when you and Jay were writing this screenplay? How did you find the right balance between like veracity and entertainment?
Well, you want to capture the big things right. And what you want to capture, because we're not a history book, is the feeling. You want to capture and there is a kind of truth to feeling as well. You want to capture the vibe of what was going down. So you know, if Johnny Cash was in Newport and he was in the wings, but he actually left during this song, or these are inconsequential details. The point was that these characters all came together at this time. Johnny Cash and Bob, for instance, did exchange these letters, and many of them have never been seen or heard before. And in fact, it was this thrill because I had known from my Johnny Cash research years ago that they had been pen pals long before they even met. And so I called up Bob's manager, Jeff Rosen, and I said, "Do you by chance have these letters?" And he was like, "Yes, I do." And he sent them to me. And that's what's in the picture. So it's funny, there's this unique thing, which is on one side, you're trying to capture the feeling more than the complete accuracy of kind of exactly what, did Bob and Joan sing a duet that year in Monterey, or was it the previous year? Well, they sang, but they did a different song that year, but that's not what it's about. Did they have a relationship at that time? Did they come together? And was this the best song to show it? And that's where you get, but you're also not interested in fabricating or creating false realities. You're just trying to do what film does best, which is put you there and create and give you a window into the emotional truth of the characters. One that even Bob, even when documentary cameras were rolling, may have been trying to avoid giving, even as documentarians. That you're trying to kind of penetrate in a way. He was aware of that camera when Penny Baker or Maisels was shooting him. But in our story, the camera is going places where Bob's unaware and is being his true self.
And that's never more clear than at the beginning of the film, before he's ever famous. I love that really early moment in the film when he first meets Woody in the hospital, Woody and Pete, and he says he wanted to pay his respects and maybe try and catch a spark. I think that's such a beautiful moment. Do you have a particular moment in your own life, your own career, where you remember meeting filmmakers you were fond of or people you were fond of and hoping to catch a spark from them?
Of course. I mean, the one that immediately comes to mind is um, I was at Columbia University, and Milos Forman every 3 or 4 years would teach a kind of master's class in directing. And you were supposed to have a script written, and then he'd work you through how to direct it. And I got in the running for the very limited 5 or 6 students who would be in the class. I remember having a meeting with him, and he said, "So what is your script?" And I'm like, "I don't have one." Uh, and I go, "But I have this idea about a movie about a very overweight chef in an upstate restaurant who's invisible, despite his girth, feels almost transparent to other people." And he just said, "Good, we'll work on that together." And what proceeded was me writing my first feature. I never directed it as part of his class. I just would send him pages every week. And I have to tell you, I had struggled at that point as a screenwriter because most of the screenwriting classes I'd go to were, the classic kind of Sid Field dance about your plot point here and text 10 pages and hook me here. And I could kind of never, I could never function in this plot-driven way of writing a movie. And what was so wonderful that Milos taught me about writing was he just told me to write. Just write about these characters and then we'll figure it out. And 2 weeks later he came in, I would send him these pages in Connecticut and he came in one day and he goes, page 42, his mother dies and he tells no one. That's what the movie is about. And you should keep this moment, this lie, active for as long as you can. And it was this kind of very emotional way of writing and just cut what isn't about that, And I loved him and he was a great teacher and obviously one of our greatest filmmakers. And I truly felt there is nothing and I felt that way, honestly, when I was making Indiana Jones and I got to spend so much time with my childhood heroes, Steven Spielberg and George Lucas, John Williams and Harrison Ford. To me, the movie was such a joy because I got to actually hang out and become friends with people who I had only seen on a kind of Mount Rushmore from my upstate New York home.
Well, we're so glad for Milos's impact in your life because it's brought these incredible films into our lives as well. Jim, thank you so much for your time. And again, thank you for the film. I really, really love it.
My pleasure, Daniel. Have a great day.
Appreciate it. Thank you.